Good evening, everybody. How's everyone doing? Hope you're all doing well. I've got a little bit of unfinished business with Just Stop Oil. So you're going to get two videos come out tonight. Touch wood. Which basically, the first one is going to be about Tommy Robinson. This one is going to be about two OAPs. Now normally, I'd say OAP stands for Old Age Pensioner. Well, in this case, I'm going to make an exception, because for these two particular cases, shall we say, I'm going to be referring to them as old age pricks, bluntly speaking. And I'm sure I'm going to get somebody saying, oh, you should respect your elders. Anyway, the point I'm going to make here is there is two particular people, Reverend Dr. Sue, is it Pritchard or something like that? Dr. Sue something or other, and Judy Bruce. Because they were found, I believe, was it in London? But they were at a museum at any rate, which had one of the original magna cartas. You know, the very old law that basically brought into power that royalty and prime ministers could no longer be above the law and abuse their powers, because otherwise now they face the risk of prison. And it's just my luck, it starts pissing it down to rain. Anyway, these two people went into this museum where the Magna Carta was located, and they basically took out a stake and a lump hammer, I believe it was called, to try and break through the glass, and they ended up cracking it. So I will see if I can find the article for this and link it in the description below. But these two sought to damage the display glass or what have you of this ancient artifact, as it were. And ironically enough, they also quoted from it, basically saying that no person should be arrested for some other reason or another. But here's the thing. Because they claim to do it in protest, I think criminal damage would have something to say about that. Though unfortunately, as we saw with, Laura Johnson, I suspect these two old farts are going to end up getting away with it if they were allowing a, shall we say, youthful activist to go around and abuse a New Scotland Yard police sign. Then it leaves very little doubt in my mind that I see these two prats, Pritchard and Bruce, basically getting away with it as well. I say enough's enough. I say, how about we start a petition to have these two old farts locked up, or at least pay a fine to repair the glass. It's kind of sad that these two have led lives as non-entities, as it were. And in my case, I led two entities, since I look like two people. Anyway, these two have lived basically non-existent lives. And now they've gone out of their way to damage the glass of one of the most important artifacts our country has. The very Magna Carta they claim to be basically quoting stuff from and saying, we're allowed to do this. No, you're not allowed to commit criminal damage. If you guys were chain linking yourself to a fence, that would be one thing. But to actually go out of your way and damage property, that's not protest. That's you engaging in criminal activity. And quite rightly, people are calling for Just Stop Oil and Palestine movements to be classed as terrorist groups. And as I said before, we need to take out the trash. We need to get rid of these people, one way or another, preferably without violence, because I do not condone it. But if there are people that do it, I will still condemn them, 100%. But I'll completely understand why they've done it. Because after all, our police have picked sides and have chosen not to go after these guys more often than not. That, or the justice system decides, well, we're not going to prosecute them. But I think if we get a petition set up, I think there will be a lot of people who would be willing to sign that shit and make sure these OAPs' next retirement plans are in a prison cell. Because here's the thing, criminal damage does not discriminate between age groups. If you commit criminal damage, then you commit criminal damage. If you go out and shoot someone, then you're going to get charged with shooting someone. That's the great thing about law. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't discriminate as far as whether or not you're committing it. It doesn't discriminate as far as who is doing the atrocity, who is doing the criminal action, because they will be arrested all the same. It's just the justice system that's screwed up because it prioritises lower sentences for women versus men. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you that, because, say it with me folks, it doesn't suit the narrative. And to be brutally honest, as always, I don't mince my words, I don't sugarcoat things, but these two OAPs are probably doing this under Just Stop Oil because they know full well that they will get a lower sentence or no sentence at all. Hell, they might even get a Laura Johnson and get cleared of all fucking charges. And under absolutely no circumstances should they be allowed to get away with it. If I was caught doing criminal damage, I would expect to be punished to the full extent of the law. If I saw another person, who's probably going to be smaller than me, anyway, if there was another person who was same age as me, 34, or 20 years old, or whatever, I would expect them to be punished to the full extent of the law. I'd probably go even as far as saying, if they dare to use the Magna Carta and insult what little intelligence we have, and insult one of the oldest and most respected laws in our country, and they try to use that to defend their actions, personally I think they should get even longer, or an even harsher fine, because it shows they're willing to disrespect our law that much. And as I said, how sad is it that two old farts have gone out of their way. I nearly ran myself over there. Anyway, how sad is it these two have lived a life where they haven't been mentioned, haven't done anything, and this is now what the country is going to remember them for, and people like me are going to remember them for. People who committed crimes against their country. What a shame. What a waste of your time. You live all these bloody years on the earth. You should be teaching our young'uns how to respect the law, how to live your life, and this is the example you want to set the rest of us. It's going to be even worse for those who are truly of the name of OAP, who are supposed to be old and wise. It's going to give them a bad name as well, which is why I said at the start I prefer to call these girls or women or whatever you want to call them old age pricks rather than old age pensioners, because it makes me feel uncomfortable associating them with the same OAP status, quite frankly. Hopefully there'll be a petition set up soon. Hopefully we can have these two numpties face court and face the full extent of the law, and have them either pay for the damage they've done or serve time for the damage they've done. Because at the end of the day, it should not be based off of your age or your ethnicity or the colour of your skin or your religion or whatever that you get sentenced accordingly. It should be based off of, have you committed the crime, yes or no? And these girls have. And they try to project as well, because I actually forgot to mention this, they projected the UK government is breaking the law. Like saying the pot calling the kettle black. And I'm sure these two ladies will understand what that means. But basically, these two are projecting their problems onto the government, all to stop oil and gas. Which, if they really wanted to do that, I've said before, we'd have to be sitting out in the grass fields, completely naked, eating grass for the rest of our lives. And I don't know about you, but that does not sound like a lifestyle I want, quite frankly. So let's do our bit and make sure that these two, the next retirement plans they're making, is in a prison cell.